After the story ends, check out the quick preview of the hit single, titled Slide for Vaughn by G.K. David II.
We wouldn't slide for Vaughn, and now I'm sitting in this jail. The judge denied me bond. I'm sitting in the cell, and this really hell.
When they brought me in, the jail dudes was catcalling, talking about what's up, Blondie, and there go my future baby mama. I was like, don't y'all fools know I'm a real shy rat gangster that'll switch one of y'all if we was in the streets right now?
Special Agent Vlad TV. After this interview, don't arrest me. Special Agent Vlad TV. After this interview, don't arrest me.
Secret Agent Vlad. Secret Agent Vlad. Secret Agent Vlad.
Lil Durk escapes the El Chapo tunnel. Chapter 1. Special Agent Vlad's Special Assignment. The office at headquarters in D.C. buzzed with a faint hum of activity as FBI Special Agent Vlad Feldman reviewed some files sprawled across his desk. A few minutes later, the director pulled up to his desk and gave him his next assignment. Go to Broward County, Florida, and transfer some rapper named Lil Durk to the main federal jail in Los Angeles. Semi-tall, balding, with a slight paunch, Vlad didn't carry the air of a typical field agent, but what he lacked in physical intimidation, he more than made up for in cunning. His reputation as a master manipulator had earned him the nickname Rapper Slapper within the Bureau, because thanks to him, more rappers had handcuffs slapped around their wrists during their arrests than ever before. His persona as Vlad TV made him a semi-celebrity in the world of hip-hop and entertainment. For years, his YouTube channel had been a smokescreen, designed to bait rising stars into revealing too much about their street affiliations and illicit activities. Interviews had resulted in indictments, and his disarming manner in extracting confessions that would later haunt the unassuming artists. Vlad prided himself on being the man who brought down empires, one casual conversation at a time. Today, however, the stakes were higher. His latest assignment was one of hip-hop's biggest names, Lil Durk, a Grammy Award-winning Chicago thug.
This little menacing midget has been busy,
Vlad muttered, flipping through the rapper's file. Gun possession, murder for hire, conspiracy. Durk's alleged crimes spanned years and crossed state lines. Despite the rapper's current legal troubles, the Bureau wanted more dirt on him so they could bury him alive. That's where Vlad came in. The goal wasn't just to transport Durk from the Broward County Jail in Florida to the federal facility in Los Angeles. It was to also get inside his head during the journey. Over the course of the long flight, Vlad was expected to elicit information about Durk's alleged associates, their operations, and anything else that could dismantle the sprawling web of street crime his OTF gang was involved in. Think you can pull it off? His supervisor, Chief Agent Harris, had asked earlier that morning, a skeptical smile tugging at his lips.
Piece of cake.
Vlad had replied with a smirk.
I eat these stupid-ass rappers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Chapter 2. Beef Durkee. The air was humid outside the Broward County Jail as Agent Vlad waited by the Dodge Charger he'd borrowed from the Fort Lauderdale FBI field office. Two armed marshals flanked him, their faces set in stone as they prepared for what could be an unpredictable transfer. When the doors to the jail swung open, Lil Durk, real name Dirk Banks, emerged in cuffs, flanked by two jail guards. Despite his situation, Durk moved with an air of calm defiance, set in from years on the wild streets of Chicago, his shoulders squared and his gaze fixed straight ahead. His reputation as a sharp thinker and strategist wasn't just talk. Durk had weathered storms before, both in his personal life and in the rap game. Special Agent Vlad introduced himself casually as he loaded the rapper into the back of the Charger.
What's up, Durk? I'm Special Agent Vlad, just here to get you from point A to point B, my friend.
Durk glanced at him, eyes sharp but unreadable. Vlad from Vlad TV, that YouTube bullshit? He said, his tone dripping with suspicion.
The one and only.
Vlad replied with a disarming chuckle, confirming the rapper's curiosity as he started the Dodge's engine and began the drive to the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood airport. Durk didn't respond, but the slight narrowing of his eyes suggested he wasn't buying Vlad's affable facade. Chapter 3. Hollywood, Florida to Hollywood, California. After arriving at the airport and boarding the FBI chartered jet, Vlad decided to toy with the rapper.
I know you wish this was that private jet you attempted to board when they arrested you, Goldilocks, but it ain't, so I'm sorry if there isn't any blunts and perks on board for you and the gang,
Vlad said mockingly, calling him Goldilocks, referring to the rapper's gold-dyed hairstyle. He sat across from Durk, who had opted for silence since takeoff. The pair of marshals sat a few rows back, their presence a constant reminder that neither man had much freedom to maneuver. Vlad started leaning back in his seat and continued,
You've been through worse than this, Durk.
Durk didn't take the bait, his gaze fixed out the window.
I mean, you've got this larger-than-life persona. You won a frickin' Grammy, yet my favorite rapper, Jelly Roll, hasn't even been nominated for one yet. What's wrong with that picture?
Vlad continued, looking annoyed.
Everyone looks up to you. Must be tough being the guy everyone relies on.
Durk finally turned his head, his expression calm but cold.
What you really want to talk about, bitch-ass cop?
Vlad smiled, pleased to see the wall beginning to crack, if only slightly.
I'm just saying, it must be exhausting, always having to be the strong one, the leader. Bet there are things you'd like to get off your chest.
Durk leaned forward slightly, his voice low but firm.
Ain't nothing I need to get off my chest to you.
The exchange was brief, but it set the tone for the rest of the flight. Vlad tried different angles, referencing lyrics, past interviews, and even vague rumors, but Durk deflected each attempt with a mix of silence and carefully chosen words. Durk finally let Vlad know that everyone who knows about him knows that he hates rats and snitches, so he was wasting his time. By the time the jet touched down in Los Angeles, Vlad knew he hadn't made the breakthrough he'd hoped for, but the game wasn't over. If anything, it was just the beginning. Chapter 4. Lil Durk Gets Tested. Durk was led through the cold, echoing corridors of the Metropolitan Detention Center, or MDC Los Angeles, by a stone-faced correctional officer. The stark fluorescent lights overhead buzzed faintly as they passed rows of cells filled with a mix of silent stares and jeers. Cell 30-29, the red-headed, freckle-faced officer barked, stopping in front of a steel door. He opened it with a sharp clang, gesturing for Durk to step inside. The cell was small and Spartan, with 2 bunks, a toilet, 2 locker boxes, and little else. On the lower bunk lay a slender yet muscular Latino man with tan skin and Spanish-language tattoos snaking up his arms and neck. He was asleep, his face half hidden by his arm. "Welcome to Los Angeles," the officer said, smirking before closing the door shut behind him. Durk tossed his small bundle of belongings onto the bunk and climbed up, the mattress creaking beneath his weight. He hadn't been there more than 5 minutes before the man below stirred. The man groaned, standing up and rubbing his eyes before fixing on Durk with a sharp glare. "Who the hell are you, S.A.?" Durk raised an eyebrow.
Your new celly. The fuck it look like?
The man stood, his full height of 6 feet even and muscular frame making the small cell feel even smaller. "I told the warden I didn't want anybody in my cell. They didn't tell me I was getting a roommate," he said, his tone laced with annoyance. Durk shrugged.
Guess they don't keep you in the loop, my boy.
The man's eyes narrowed. "You got a name?"
Yeah, they call me Lil Durk.
He replied evenly.
And you?
The man smirked, a flash of crooked yellow teeth against his tanned skin. "Hector. But most people in here call me Chapo, after my uncle El Chapo, the cartel kingpin." Durk leaned back against the wall, unimpressed because 90% of inmates lie about knowing some celebrity or having major street connections when they were out on the streets. Good for them. Hector's smirk faded, replaced by a glare because his new cellmate was giving off an air of being above him. "You think you are better than me, huh?" he asked, sliding his feet into his sneakers.
Hell nah. I know I'm better than you.
Durk said calmly, his tone steady but firm. Hector stepped closer, his broad shoulders blocking the light. "Oh yeah? You look better than me, with your sexy-ass blonde hair and no mustache on your face. You must be one of them fucky-sucky boys, S.A. I might get me some sloppy toppy in this cell tonight." Lil Durk's fists clenched at his sides, and before Hector could finish talking, he lunged at the taller man. Chapter 5. The Fight. The small cell erupted into chaos as the 2 men grappled, fists flying and bodies slamming into the walls. Durk, smaller at 5'7" but quicker, dodged Hector's heavy swings and landed sharp combination jabs to his face and neck. Calculated fighting he learned from all of the cold days in the streets of Inglewood, Chicago. Hector roared in anger, grabbing Durk by the shirt and throwing him against the metal bunk, which allowed Durk to counter with a lucky punch that connected with the Mexican man's jaw so hard that it knocked him out cold. The noise drew the attention of other inmates being housed in the troublesome dorm, which was currently under a lockdown status due to an inmate-on-inmate homicide the previous day. Some of them started yelling, asking Hector what was going on. "That's enough!" One inmate who was in the cell next door shouted. "Y'all know the next count is coming up soon." "New guy, you want to spend your first night in solitary?" The inmate continued, barking at Durk. Durk didn't respond, his chest heaving as he stared daggers at the unconscious Hector. Hector slowly came to and began apologizing to his new celly, the 2 sweaty men sitting on opposite sides of their cell, glaring at each other in silence.
"Quick commercial break, and please stop looking at my ass, cause you ain't getting none."
What's up, y'all? Yeah, they got your boy in the box, but I'm good. I see y'all checking out this G.K. David movie story about me. I don't even know, dude, but I like how he portraying me so far. Y'all go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for this story, and check out part 2 after this.
The Chapter 6, An Uneasy Alliance. Silence stretched on for what felt like hours. Eventually, Hector broke it with a chuckle. "You got a fist harder than a bowling ball, S.A., he said, rubbing his jaw. Durk grinned, still sitting on the edge of his bunk.
Had to let you know I ain't the one.
Hector nodded, a hint of respect in his eyes. I just didn't want a roommate essay, nothing personal. Durk shrugged.
It's all good, Migo.
Hector laughed, the sound echoing in the small cell. Gracias, Holmes. You're not so bad after all. The tension between them eased slightly, replaced by a tentative camaraderie. Over the next few days, they began to talk, sharing stories about their lives and the paths that had led them to the same cell. Durk revealed that he was a big rapper who did songs with Drake, Yeezy, and J. Cole, but Hector was a 40-year-old Mexican man that didn't listen to any American music, especially not rap. Hector claimed he was El Chapo's blood nephew, a boast that Durk took with a grain of salt. But as Hector began to share more details about his family's operations and his own role in them, Durk couldn't help but be intrigued. You know, Hector said one night, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper, I'm working on something big, something that's going to get me out of here. Durk raised an eyebrow. Hell, you talking about Migo? Hector leaned closer, his eyes gleaming. A tunnel, just like my uncle did. It's almost finished. I haven't been working on it because I didn't know whether I could trust you. This is why I didn't want a roommate. Durk stared at him, unsure whether to believe him. But as Hector motioned for him to look under the bunk bed, as he peeled back a piece of wallpaper, revealing a decent-sized hole in the wall, hope sparked in Durk's chest. If Hector could finish his tunnel, this could be his ticket to freedom. Chapter 8. The Bad News. Hector's counselor hinted that he would be transferring from the jail to a prison the following week. She wasn't supposed to reveal this info, but she liked the man and wished there weren't so many cameras in the jail so they could have an illicit relationship. The impending transfer hit hard. Next week was only a few days away and wasn't enough time to perfect his escape plan, but it would have to do. The tunnel was nearly complete, but there were still sections requiring reinforcement, and loose soil posed a major risk of collapse. We gotta hustle, bro, Hector said grimly that night, his usual cool demeanor replaced by urgency. If I get transferred, it's over. Durk nodded.
Don't worry, we out of here.
They worked tirelessly, using every second available to shore up the tunnel. Dirt covered and exhausted, they adjusted their shifts to avoid drawing suspicion from the guards. Chapter 9. The Breakout. On the final night, as they prepared for their escape, complications arose. Increased guard patrols forced them to halt their digging for hours. Damn it, Hector hissed as they crouched in their cell, listening to the rhythmic thud of boots outside. We're cutting it way too close. To make matters worse, a section of the tunnel began to sag under the weight of the soil above. Using makeshift tools scavenged over months, they shored up the weak points with scraps of wood and metal bars. Think it'll hold? Durk asked, sweat dripping from his brow. It has to, Hector replied, his determination unshaken. Finally, the moment arrived. With Hector's transfer set for the next morning, the two men waited until the dead of night. The prison had settled into an eerie stillness, and they knew this was their only chance. They slipped into the tunnel through the concealed hatch beneath Hector's bottom bunk. The air was damp and heavy, and the narrow space forced them to crawl on their elbows.
Bro, this is tighter than that hole between your legs.
Durk joked, trying to lighten the tense atmosphere with a gay joke. Keep moving, Hector urged, his voice low but firm. The dim light from a smuggled cell phone's flashlight illuminated the cramped passage. Each inch felt like an eternity as they inched forward, their breaths shallow and their hearts pounding. Midway through, they encountered an unexpected snag. A portion of the tunnel had flooded with raw sewage from a recent rainstorm that damaged some of the cell block's pipes.
You ain't planned for this, bruh,
Durk said, eyeing the disgusting water ahead. Hector sighed. We don't have a choice, S.A. Let's go. Holding their breaths, they waded through the submerged section, emerging on the other side, gasping for air as the filthy stench of mixed urine, various colors of feces, and various other disgusting things like several inmates' mayonnaise drops invaded their nostrils. Finally, after hours of crawling, they reached the tunnel's endpoint, a hidden exit camouflaged by a pile of rocks a mile from the prison. Chapter 10. Freedom. As they emerged from the tunnel, the brisk night air hit their faces, a stark contrast to the suffocating heat underground. They paused for a moment, taking in the vast openness of the remote area. We did it, Hector said, a rare smile breaking across his face. Durk nodded, his own relief tempered by the realization that their journey wasn't over yet. Now what? Durk asked. Hector pointed toward the distant glow of city lights. We go take a car and make it to Mexico. I must reconnect with my family. Durk shook his head from side to side, telling Hector no. There was no way he was about to commit any more crimes to add on to his escape in case they got caught. After telling Hector that he was going to split up from him, the mighty Mexican disappeared into the night. Durk set his sights on the country of Switzerland, which was the last place he had toured, and learned that it was a neutral nation that didn't allow extradition.
Damn it, how did Durk get out of the biggest federal jail in Los Angeles? I gotta assemble a team of agents and go get his ass. While I'm doing that, y'all go check out part 2 and see how things turn out.
Special Agent Vlad TV. After this interview, don't arrest me. Special Agent Vlad TV. After this interview, don't arrest me.
Agent Vlad. Secret Agent Vlad. Secret Agent Vlad.
Here is a preview of the certified street banger titled Slide for Vaughn by GK David II. Available on all streaming platforms and gkdavid.com on November 23rd.
Last night and is being held without bond. This comes only hours after 5 people associated with his music business were also accused and taking part in that murder for hire.
These motherfuckers thought we wouldn't slide for bond, and now I'm sitting in this jail. The judge denied me bond. These motherfuckers thought we wouldn't slide for bond, and now I'm sitting in this jail. The judge denied me bond. I'm sitting in the cell, and this really hell. Let me take it back to 2012 and 13 when I hopped on the scene. Gun charges in the trenches, nobody denied that. This was back when the young niggas bought my city Chirac. I was really coming up with mixing tapes and fixing 8s. All my niggas on the block when I would drop, they couldn't wait. Fast forward, me and King Von in the ATL. Love my nigga, charge us for a lick, we didn't pull the trigger. Then I got the news and then knocked the wind out of me. That nigga Quando Rondo and his goons had my man deceased. I put a bag on his head, 50 ball, that nigga dead. My lawyer will easily beat the case, nigga delete, erase that nigga jam.